Would you like to work closer to home, save money on gas, and be rewarded for your hard work and attendance? Then Bellisio Foods is looking for you. That's right, Bellisio Foods is now hiring for multiple positions and shifts with great employee benefits, an on-site health clinic, competitive wages, and advancement opportunities. Bellisio Foods is a company that truly values their employees. Apply online at belisiofoods.com/careers.
At Vinton County National Bank, we believe in supporting the areas where we live and work. Now, we'd like to honor those who also serve our communities. Our new Community Champions account is especially for first responders, veterans, active military, and anyone employed in the fields of healthcare or education. This account offers rewards, discounts, and other benefits to those who give so much to others. Vinton County National Bank, rewarding those who serve.
Hello and good morning. Welcome to another edition of the morning show here on Main Street TV. As you can tell, I am not Jennifer. She is out today, but that's okay. We got our good friend, Telegram editor Pete Wilson, back in the house. Welcome back, Pete.
Well, thank you very much. It's nice to be back in snowy, cold Ohio.
Yes, winter has finally raised its ugly head here in Ohio. It's been a while since we've actually had some snow on the ground. And Dylan, I think you got a picture we can show from earlier in the week of some of the snowfall here in the city of Jackson. You can see the snow on top of the Apple Tower there and some of the downtown buildings. Would like to mention we may have some more snow in the forecast, Pete. The National Weather Service has issued a winter weather advisory for Jackson and Vinton counties. That advisory will go in effect this evening at 7 p.m., and it will run through at least 7 a.m. on the morning of Saturday, January 12th. They are expecting snow accumulation of 2 to 4 inches, and you can plan on slippery road conditions, and hazardous conditions could impact the morning and evening commute the next several days, so just slow down and use caution, and you got to get back in that mindset of driving in the snow, Pete.
Absolutely.
It's been a little while since we've had some snow on the roads.
Right. I guess the bottom line is, in all caps, slow down.
Slow down.
Slow down and give some distance between you and the other vehicle, whether you're in front or behind, because somehow, if you would happen to slide on some ice or snow, that's where we have the fender benders, or even worse, where you slide off the road into a ditch or something, and you're going to pay a tow bill at the very least. So anyway, it is what it is. It's January, and we're in Ohio.
Yes. Very good, sir. So would you like to kick things off with some news? I know we had some excitement out on U.S. Route 35 last night heading towards Chillicothe, and maybe you can tell us a little bit about that.
I certainly can. We got a report that came in from the Ohio State Highway Patrol, and anyone who may have been out on the highway, driving between Jackson and Chillicothe, Jackson and Columbus, may have run into this if they were on the road last evening. And this occurred at 6:27 p.m. was when it was reported, and it was on U.S. Route 35 in the westbound lanes almost all the way to the Ross County line in Jackson County. That would be even just a little bit west of the roadside rest out there, if that's a good reference point. They said it was about a mile into Jackson County from Ross County. But what happened, it wasn't truly, even though it was investigated and is being investigated by the Ohio State Highway Patrol Jackson Post, it really wasn't a wreck. It was a fire, but it was along the highway, and so it is being investigated by the patrol. But a semi-rig, a commercial semi-rig that was heading west, driven by Joseph Connett, age 36 of Brookville, Indiana, was heading west on the highway when his trailer of his semi caught fire. Well, he was aware of this. He pulled off to the shoulder of the road, wisely, I presume, disconnected the trailer from the semi to protect the semi. But the trailer was in full blaze there when the firefighters and the troopers got there. And don't have a report on the extent of the damage, but I presume it may have been a total there because, it's going to take the fire departments a little bit while to get there.
Yeah.
So in addition to, the vehicle damage and whatever, the cargo may have been, we don't have information on that. It affected the traffic. For a time last night, 2 to 3 hours, traffic was restricted or closed on the westbound lanes. There was a very short time where I understand it may have even been closed on the eastbound lanes, but for the most part, it was in the westbound lanes for several hours there on U.S. Route 35. In addition to the patrol, the Sheriff's Office, the Colton Fire Department, the Liberty Township Fire Department, the Jefferson Township Fire Department, that's the fire department out of Richmondale.
Okay.
They were there, the towing service, and of course, the Ohio Department of Transportation. We do have a report, on that incident. That is on our website, www.thetelegram.news.com, and of course, we'll have that in our Saturday paper as well.
Very good, sir.
All right. Another report that actually came out last night that's certainly notable from the law enforcement front. This comes from the Vinton County Sheriff's Office, and this was a report that was issued last night, and it involves, and this is a horrific story, alleged rape by a MacArthur man of a 13-year-old girl. This was reported earlier in the week, and then was the information, limited information, in a news release issued last night by the Vinton County Sheriff's Office. They say that they received a report that a male had met up with a 13-year-old girl and did have sexual intercourse with this young girl. An investigation was started into the matter. A search warrant was executed at the suspect's residence. As a result, the suspect, 32-year-old Michael Hunter of MacArthur, there is the mugshot of Michael Hunter, he was taken into custody and he has been charged with rape. The case was forwarded to the Vinton County Prosecuting Attorney's Office. That's William Archer. There may be other charges. The rape is an initial charge. And Mr. Hunter is incarcerated in the Southeastern Ohio Regional Jail over there at Nelsonville. This is a story that we'll have out on the radio at noon, and then subsequent newscasts, and we'll also have it soon on our website, and of course it will be reported in our next edition of the print newspaper, which comes out on Saturday. All right, we have another crime report from the Jackson Police Department. We work with them to get this story, and this was something that occurred on Tuesday afternoon, caused a little bit of a stir. Excuse me, in the neighborhood near Jackson Middle School.
So a lot of people, I think a lot of people saw law enforcement in that area and was probably wondering what was going on there.
They certainly did, and it was reported. It was reported about 3:45 p.m. So that's just after school it was let out. There's no school-related connection to it other than it was in the neighborhood where the school was. But it all started out actually with what appeared to be a minor traffic violation. Police officers were stationary. Thank you, Dylan. Police officers were stationary at the intersection of South Street and David Avenue. They noticed that a blue van passed by traveling on South Street towards town that had a loud exhaust system. That, of course, is a potential traffic violation. Okay. And so they got behind the van and made a traffic stop several blocks away on the parking lot of Cardo's Pizza, which is at 19 West South Street there near the intersection of South and Broadway. Well, as soon as they made the traffic stop and they were approaching the vehicle, the driver of that vehicle jumped out of the car, had a bag with him, and took off on foot.
It's never a good sign when they jump off and take off, is it? Pete?
Right, and especially after what would have been a minor traffic violation or maybe even just a warning. But anyway, one of the police, there were two police officers in the car. One of them chased the suspect, and the other stayed with the van because there was another male in the van as well, a passenger. Okay. And what happened was the suspect ran westward towards Trago Avenue and Chestnut Street. And for a moment, the officer who was chasing him lost sight of him. And so they called for some extra help. They called for the sheriff's office, and the State Highway Patrol officers and troopers from those two agencies showed up, and they were ready to do a perimeter or whatever to catch this person.
Okay.
As it turned out, they caught him just several minutes later. A Jackson police officer did, down on Tropic Street, which is down just off Trago Avenue, which is near Cardo's Pizza, just about a block away. And that suspect was identified as 26-year-old Shiloh Chase Rowe, whose address is State Route 279, Oak Hill. There is Shiloh Rowe there. Dylan's put his photo up. And Shiloh was arrested and taken to the Jackson Police Department, where he admitted that there were some allegedly illegal drugs in the bag. As a result of the search of the bag and the vehicle, a number of allegedly illegal drugs were confiscated. They always do BCI testing to confirm exactly what the drugs were, and that they are what they were said to be. But the drugs were shrooms and Suboxone pills. The shrooms are magic mushrooms.
Mushrooms.
They're called magic mushrooms, and they're wild or cultivated mushrooms that contain a naturally occurring psychoactive and hallucinogenic compound. And they are misused and abused, apparently. Some research suggests that this substance may help relieve symptoms of mental health conditions. However, shrooms are considered illegal in most places and carry risks that people should recognize. And they are illegal in Ohio and in Jackson as well. There was also some Suboxone pills. Of course, that is an opiate drug, prescription drug, that you've got to have a prescription to have. 5 Suboxone pills. There were also several containers of marijuana that were confiscated. Police noted that the shrooms, that's kind of short for the magic mushrooms, were individually packaged and had a combined weight of 46 grams. Now, that is a tip-off to law enforcement that they were probably being packaged for sale. So that makes it more serious than just possessing it.
So trafficking, right?
Right. So yeah, you can be charged or accused of trafficking, even though you're not caught necessarily in a sale, because of the circumstances and what you were caught with, and the volume, and how they may be packaged and all like that. But Shiloh Chase Rowe has been charged with possible felony level charges of trafficking in drugs, possession of drugs, and obstructing official business. Now, those charges have not been filed pending, a BCI testing of the drugs, but those would be the potential charges that would come later in a grand jury indictment. In the short term, he was arrested on a warrant from the Jackson County Sheriff's Office that was already existing before this incident. He had failed to appear in court on a larceny charge. That automatically triggers a failure to appear charge, which is a felony. And so he is being held in jail on that. He also has been charged with 2 traffic violations, which include having a loud exhaust. So he is in custody, and the Jackson County Prosecuting Attorney's Office will, take the case from there. But provided that those drugs are what they appear to be, there will probably be an indictment coming. Now, the other man in the car happened to be Shiloh Rowe's father, Jeff Rowe. He was a passenger in the car. He cooperated with police, told police who the suspect was that had taken off, and he did not have any illegal drugs on his person, and he was released and not charged. So this is another story that will be in our paper on Saturday, and of course posted simultaneously on thetelegram.news.com, our website.
Very good, Pete. Good work on that story there.
Right. Well, thank you.
Very, very interesting there, and how a traffic stop can lead to other things.
That's often the case.
It is often the case.
And it's also surprising how many people sometimes who are pulled over are already wanted for past convictions,
right?
Past arrests or past charges where maybe something happened in court where they did not follow through. I mean, at times there's been hundreds of warrants, outstanding warrants that are out there, and they come home to bite you maybe when something new happens.
Okay. Well, we'll get into a little bit of some of the stuff I have here, Pete. Give you a second to catch your breath. So this past week, local school boards in Wilson, Jackson, Oak Hill met for the first time for 2024. And as always, those first meetings are busy ones, as several decisions have to be made for the new year. And the Wilson City School District Board of Education met on the evening of Monday, January 8th. And, prior to that meeting being called to order, Wellston Treasurer Tammy Downard swore in re-elected board member Brian Kilgore and newly elected board member Adam Massey. And I do believe we have a photo. So this is a group photo. If you can throw up the swearing in photo, and we'll come back to that one there. So here's the swearing in photo. You can see Tammy Downard on the far left there doing the oath, administering the oath of office. In the center, that is newly elected board member Adam Massey. And on the far right, that is Brian Kilgore. He is a returning school board member. They all both took their oaths of office. Their terms will run through December 31st, 2027. And that's a little bit about those members being sworn in. Also, at that same meeting, they did some business as far as they had to decide who the board president and board vice president was going to be for 2024. After nominations, board members decided that Terry Gill would serve as board president, while Roger Rader would serve as board vice president. So on the screen there, that's Terry Gill. He is your board president for 2024. Mr. Gill served in the same position in 2023. And Roger Rader, he was chosen as board vice president through nominations, and he had actually served in that same position in 2023. Later in that board meeting, the board established that the regular monthly meeting for the Wilson City School District Board of Education will be held on the second Monday of each month. The meeting will be held at the Wilson City Schools Administrative Office. That's located at 1 East Broadway Street in Wilson, with a start time of 7 p.m. unless announced otherwise. Like to mention this as well. Wilson Superintendent Dr. Brian Rao gave his State of the District presentation. I believe we have a photo of Mr. Rao in front of a screen giving some numbers for the school district. A lot of his report outlined student enrollment, personnel, transportation, and at the time of his report, he said there was 1,266 students enrolled in the school district. The breakdown of that is 344 students at Bundy Elementary, 282 students at Wellston Intermediate School, 286 students at Wellston Middle School, and at the high school, Wellston High School, 354 students attend there. And he did note that there's 194 students that resign in the school district but attend elsewhere through open enrollment. And he also noted there's 62 students enrolled in home they're enrolled as what he likes to call home educated. Also, 79 students attend Buckeye Hills Career Center, and 56 students participate in College Credit Plus. And he did go over some numbers for the employees there that include the personnel. He also covered the support staff, and he always likes to wrap up his presentation giving some numbers for transportation. He said there are 13 regular bus routes in the Wilson City School District, and that includes the special needs route along with Buckeye Hills. He said that the buses travel 1,110 miles per day. That's for the regular and pre-K routes. The district covers 85 square miles. So that's a little bit about his State of the District presentation. Circling back to some of the other. So last week, all three local school boards met, as I had said. So the Jackson City School District Board of Education met the evening of Tuesday, January 9th. And prior to that meeting being called to order, Jackson Treasurer Jared Bunning administered the oath of office to re-elected board members Brian Moore and Pat McDonald, and newly elected board members Kyle Hickey and Kim White. And we should have a picture of 4 people standing and 1 person sitting for that swearing-in photo you can throw on the screen, if you could, Dylan.
I am trying to find it. I don't see it anywhere.
Okay. Well, we also have a swearing-in photo for those 4 individuals, and it'll be in a future edition of the Telegram. After calling its meeting to order, they also had to decide who their board president and board vice president for 2024 were going to be. After nominations, board members decided that Brian Moore would serve as the president, and there's Mr. Moore on the screen for those watching on the TV. And the board vice president will be Kim Harless, and we should have a picture of her as well. There is Miss Harless. And both of these individuals had served in the same positions this past year for 2023. The board also established their regular monthly meeting for the Jackson School Board will be held on the second Tuesday of each month. Those meetings will be held at room 110 at Jackson High School, and they will start at 6 p.m. is when their meetings will be held. And there was some other topics that happened at the Jackson School Board meeting that I'm still working through, but I can mention this. Newly, they hired an assistant to the treasurer, and that is Annie Canner. And I believe we have a picture. There is Ms. Canner with, that's Jackson Treasurer Jared Bunning. Mr. Bunning was excited to have Canner join his team. Canner is a Jackson High School alumni, and she thanked the Jackson City School District and the Jackson City Board of Education for the opportunity to be the assistant to Jackson Treasurer Jared Bunning. She was a new hire during that school board meeting on Tuesday, Pete. We had some other items happen during the school board meeting. I don't have my notes in front of me to go over it. There was one topic that was discussed about the Jackson area YMCA, and I believe we may have some photos of that. So the Jackson area YMCA had sent a letter to the school district. The school district leases the YMCA tennis courts there at the Y, and as a part of their lease, they don't pay any rent for the student athletes to play and practice and have their competitive sports at those courts. But as a part of it, the school district is supposed to maintain the court. They maintain the court, the fence, the poles, and these are some pictures that was provided by the Jackson area YMCA that we're going to have in a future edition of the Telegram that kind of shows some much needed repairs according to the Y. The Y director down there, Tim Harvey, feels like the courts are not safe for the students or their members, and he had sent a letter to Mr. Howard, who is the Jackson City School District Superintendent, along with there's numerous more pictures that are similar to the ones that are on screen showing the courts. And he wants to sit down with them to talk about some of the repairs that are needed there at the YP.
Okay. All right.
So that's a little bit about the Jackson City School District. We'll have some other stories from that meeting as well. Before I pass it back to you, Pete, we can't forget about the Oak Hill Union Local School District. They met last week on Wednesday, January 10th. And prior to their meeting being called, they also did the oath of office for newly elected board members. That's Tyler Evans and Timothy Howard. And you should have a swearing-in picture for it, too, Dylan, possibly. I thought I sent them. Maybe I didn't send them. No, that's a different picture altogether. You can take it down. Anyhow, they were both sworn in. Their terms will run through December 31st, 2027. After they called their meeting to order, They had to decide on president and vice president for 2024, and things down there are a little different, as the last year's president and vice president did not seek re-election after being on the board for a long time, Pete. So they had to decide who the new president and vice president would be for the board, and they decided on Paula Stewart for board president. And there she is on the screen for those watching. And they decided on Mike French as the board vice president, and they will serve that's who they chose for 2024. Later in the meeting, they established that the regular monthly meeting for the Oak Hill School Board will be held on the third Wednesday of each month. And those meetings are held at the Oak Hill Middle High School Library with a start time of 5:30 p.m. And we'll have complete stories about all of this in a future edition of the Telegram. I do want to mention, while we're still on the school board note here, January 2024 is known as School Board Recognition Month. And if you can throw up those group pictures that you've been showing, Dylan, start with Wilson City Schools. The Wilson City School Superintendent, Dr. Brian Rao, honored the Wilson School Board on Monday, January 8th. And there they are. And we can go over real quick who is in the picture. And seated from the left, you have board members. That's Adam Massey, John Jackson, and Brian Kilgore. Standing behind from the left is Wilson Superintendent Dr. Brian Rao. You have board vice president Roger Rader, board president Terry Gill, and Wilson treasurer Tammy Downard. And the Jackson City School Superintendent Phil Howard honored the Jackson board for the School Board Recognition Month on Tuesday, January 9th. And you have, here's the group picture of them. You have seated there from the left, that's Kim White, board president Brian Moore, board vice president Kim Hardless. Standing behind from the left is Jackson Superintendent Phil Howard. You have board member Pat McDonald, board student representative AJ Graham, board member Kyle Hickey, and Jackson treasurer Jared Bunning. And in Oak Hill, the Oak Hill superintendent, that's Jason Mantell, he honored the Oak Hill School Board on Wednesday, January 10th for the School Board Recognition Month. And we have them pictured there, seated. That's your incumbents. That's Joe Elksess. You have board president Paul Stewart, board vice president Michael French, and standing behind you have Oak Hill Superintendent Jason Mantell, newly elected board members Timothy Howard, Tyler Evans, and Oak Hill Treasurer Rhonda Harris. And all these school boards were honored for what was called their unselfish devotion of time and service to carry on the mission and business of each school district. And each superintendent encouraged all citizens to thank the board members publicly and privately for their dedication and service to the district. So that's kind of a quick rundown there of Wilson, Jackson, and Oak Hill school boards. Just chock full of stuff there at the beginning, Pete.
All right. Well, and because it is the first of the year, you have a lot of new terms beginning, not just on the school board side, but also on the city and village council side, and on the township side as well, as you have some members, in some cases, almost all the members with their offices being on the ballot in the preceding general election. And so we're going to continue on in that vein and go over some changes with the Jackson City Council. And Dylan, we do have a picture of the swearing in for the Jackson City Council, if you could find and throw that up. But thank you, Dylan. This occurred on, you can keep that photo up there because we have quite a few people there to show you. But this occurred on last Monday evening. That was the first meeting of the year for Jackson City Council. They meet there in the council chambers there in the same building where the police department is at 199 Portsmouth Street. That is Jackson County Probate Juvenile Judge Justin Skaggs, who is swearing in the city officials. Now, in this case, all the city officials are the same because they were all re-elected. But they are all starting new terms nonetheless. So in that way, they are still new, and they have to be sworn in. But going counterclockwise from the left, who you see there in the picture. I know it's hard to point out each individual, but we'll do it in order. From the left counterclockwise is City Auditor Brett Reed, 4th Ward Councilman Pete Bopp, 3rd Ward Councilman H.D. Crabtree, 2nd Ward Councilman Harold Newkirk, 1st Ward Councilman Ryan Peters. Sitting down, he was not elected because he's a contract attorney, is City Attorney Joe Kirby. Blocked out, you can't see him, but he's there, is Council President Dan Folks at the head of the table. Then moving around to the right side of the table, going once again clockwise now, is at-large Councilman Brett Foster, at-large Councilman Jeff Elliott, at-large Councilwoman Marva Colby, and then not in the picture, but the chair is there, is Service Director David Swackhammer. That is an unelected position. He moved out of the photo for the swearing in. And then on the end of the table is Jackson Mayor Randy Evans, who was elected to his second 4-year term in the 2023 general election. All the council terms are for 2 years. The auditor and the mayor are for 4 years, and every elected position in the city of Jackson, except for city treasurer, was on the ballot in the 2003 general election. And so we had that little bit of pomp and ceremony to start the new year, the new terms for Jackson City government officials. Jackson City Council has regular meetings on the 2nd and 4th Monday of each month at 7 p.m., as I said, at the Jackson City Council chambers. Okay, we will now go south to Oak Hill. At Oak Hill, on the very next evening, that would be Tuesday evening, January 9th, Oak Hill Council had a swearing-in ceremony for a re-elected council member and a newly elected council member, and there is that shot. There on the left-hand side, with his hand in the air because he's being sworn into office, is Stephen Campbell. He was already a councilman. I believe he had been appointed, and this was his first elected term. Then to his right, then to his left, our right, as you look at the picture, is newly elected Councilman Vincent Powell. Vincent Powell ran as a write-in candidate for a vacancy on council and was elected. He happened to be a former Jackson City councilman at one time. And so he takes the seat of, effectively takes the seat that was held by Jeremy Van Dyne, who did not run for re-election. Holding the Bible there, and he happened to be re-elected as well, was Oak Hill Mayor Paul McNeil, as he was elected to his second term. He's been in Oak Hill Village government as a councilman, a council president, and as mayor for quite a number of years, and he is continuing for another term. He told me when I interviewed him at the end of the election in November that this will be his final term. He wanted to be very clear about that, but wants to finish some things that he started on there, and he will be in there for another 4 years. And then on the far right, presiding over the oaths of office, the swearing-in ceremony, is Oak Hill Police Chief David P. Ward. Oak Hill Village Council meets on the 2nd and 4th Tuesday of each month at 6 p.m. in the Imogene Brunton Davis Memorial Building, which is located on Front Street in Oak Hill. All right, and then we're still not quite done on the new terms and so forth. There is.
That's you can take that one down. That was from when I was talking.
Okay, all right.
We found it.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was Oak Hill School Board. That was the swearing in of Tyler Evans and Timothy Howard there.
Right, and Mr. Howard and Tyler Evans, as you said, they're both newly elected Oak Hill board members after many years of service by Aaron Michael, 20 years.
Yes.
And Regina Boggs, 16 years. Well, what a record of service that they had. Okay, another school board, though, that met, we got a report on this. Jeremiah didn't cover this one, but we received a report on it, is the Gallia-Jackson-Vinton Joint Vocational School Board. That board normally meets on the second Wednesday of each month, and they sent us information about their turnaround. Those members are not elected, but are instead appointed by the respective school boards to represent those school districts, because the vocational school represents the school districts, or they cover the school districts in Jackson, Vinton, and Gallia counties, the individual school districts in those counties, Jackson, Wellston, Oak Hill, and Jackson County, the Vinton County local schools in Vinton County, and then the Gallia County schools and the Gallipolis City schools all send representatives, appoint representatives to serve on that school board, working there with Superintendent Jamie Nash. But Dylan, we should have a picture there of the Buckeye Hills board at that first meeting. There they are. Thank you very much. And we'll show you their pictures from the left. They also did a resolution on the school board recognition month, and some of these members are new.
I see some familiar faces up there.
Newly appointed, yes. And remember, these are the same. They are all. The prerequisite is you have to be a school board member, a sitting school board member on one of the local school boards. But from the left are Stephanie Reif. She happens to be the Buckeye Hills district treasurer. Then Robert Cornwell, I believe he's from the Gallia County local schools. He is the board president this year. Then you have Mary Ann Hale, who represents the Vinton County local schools. You have Beth James from Gallia County. You have Lynn Angle, who is from Gallipolis City Schools. She is also going to be the legislative liaison. Then you have Terry Halley, who is a board member from the Gallia County local schools. Then you have John Jackson of the Wellston City School District. He represents Wellston on the JVS board. Patrick McDonald, better known as Pat McDonald, is next. He's from the Jackson City Board of Education, as is Brian Moore next to him. And then on the end is Jamie Nash, the Buckeye Hills Career Center superintendent. Not pictured is the JVS board vice president, which is, we've seen his picture before with the Oak Hill School Board. That is Michael French. So that is the joint vocational school board. They meet just like like the local school district boards on a monthly basis. It is usually the second Wednesday of each month down there at the JVS Buckeye Hills there near Rio Grande.
And Mike wouldn't have been in the picture because he was at his respective meeting.
Right. It just so happened that it fell
the same night.
Right, exactly. That might be why the Oak Hill district usually has their board meetings earlier. Yeah.
Well, and they have it. Usually, it's on the third Wednesday, but they had to move it up to keep it within that first 15 days of the month.
Yes,
get their business in order.
So all the school boards are meeting here in those first 2 weeks. So last week when I was gone, Jeremiah was busy covering school board meetings. Did a wonderful job doing that.
Thank you, sir.
There was one more transition to report, and it's the Jackson County Commissioners, Dylan, if you can get that picture ready. Now, the commissioners were not elected last year. None of the Jackson County commissioners or any commissioners throughout the state were elected last year because it was an odd-numbered year. Commissioners are elected on staggered terms every 4 years in the even-numbered years. But they have a organizational meeting every year to elect officers, and this is among themselves. They decide offices. But these are the three members of the Jackson County Commissioners. From the left is Commissioner Paul Haller, and he was chosen this year to serve as the board president. Then you have Commissioner John Hensler in the center. He is the commission vice president for the coming year, 2024. And Donnie Willis, the third commissioner, he is there on the right. Donnie stepping down as president last year. And so three commissioners with a board president and a board vice president. The commissioners in Jackson County meet at the Job and Family Services building at 25 East South Street. Those meetings are held normally on a weekly basis on Wednesday starting at 8:30 a.m. in the morning. And so the commissioners starting a new year as well. And they certainly did that in Vinton County as well. I think they had their organizational meeting a week before, but the commissioners there are Mark Fout, Stephen Eberts, and William Wellman. All right, we're going to do one more report from Vinton County, Jeremiah, before I throw it back to you for whatever else you have. This was a breaking story that came out this week. It actually occurred on the evening of January 4th, and we learned about it during the week. And Red Thompson Jr., who is our main coverage person in Vinton County, did a good job getting this story because there was no news release issued. We just had to track it down, which is what we're supposed to do anyway. But this is a story from the Vinton County Board of Health. And at that meeting on January 4th, Thursday, January 4th, the board voted to terminate the contract of its leading administrator, that is Vinton County Health Commissioner Sierra Fox. Now, Sierra had been serving on a one-year contract. There is Sierra Fox. Sierra had been hired as the new health commissioner in Vinton County last January, about this time in 2023, on a one-year contract. She was new. She had been working at the Ross County Health Commissioner, and the reason that she was hired, as she was chosen to succeed Janelle McManus, who had been the health department administrator. McManus's title was administrator, but that is the leading position there in the Vinton County Health Department. Janelle, who had been at the Vinton County Health Board, I think, for nearly 20 years, she was very fortunate to receive the position of health commissioner in neighboring Ross County, a much larger county. And so Vinton County needed a new health commissioner. And so Sierra was held to a one-year contract. Now, according to information released by the Health Board through Health Board President Vicki Boring, the reasons for, two of the reasons at least, for Sierra Fox's contract being terminated before it ended was that she was reportedly driving a county vehicle that had been issued to her, and she was involved in what was described as a minor accident. For whatever reason, she did not immediately report this to the health department or the health board, her supervisors.
Okay.
And so this was one of the reasons that was used, for the decision to terminate. The second was, and with no specifics released, a failure to follow job bidding procedures. We don't know whether there was one or more instances involved in that, but that was a secondary reason. I think that there may have been others, that were not elaborated on by the health board. But anyway, Sierra Fox's contract was to have gone through the end of the month, but they terminated it several weeks early because of these recent incidents. And so the bottom line is that the Vinton County Health Board, temporarily at least, is being led by Dr. Susanna Crapes, who is the medical director, and she will serve as the interim health commissioner. So you've got somebody who has some medical credentials, and who is also familiar with the health department, who will take a larger role temporarily while they look for a new person to serve as the top position, whether it be health commissioner or administrator. But that is the top administrative position. And so, I think we'll be hearing about that position being advertised if it isn't already.
That's quite a development there in Vinton County, Pete.
Right, and we'll have that story, coming out, on our website very soon. We'll have it on the radio, and of course, it will be prominently reported on in the next edition of the Telegram on Saturday.
Very good, sir. So I'd be remiss if I didn't mention this. This was a little over a month ago, but wanted to give a shout out to the Jackson Area Festivals and Events Organization. In December, on the 16th of December, they held their final free food giveaway of 2023, and we have some photos. There's a photo there that is Jackson. That's Jaffe member Dave Schubert, and on the left that's David, and on the right that's Jason Simpson. He's with Warriors for Christ, and they can be seen loading boxes of food into the bed of this truck at the giveaway. And they just had a lot of food to give away during that final giveaway, and I have a little more information on that. I was able to catch up on that Saturday. It was a cold morning, but those guys, along with other volunteers, were getting the job done there. I was able to catch up with Ron Carter, who's the chair of the Jaffe Food Giveaway, and he told us that the organization gave away food to 300 families during the month of December. Wow. At that giveaway. And we show another picture. You can kind of see the line of traffic out Veterans Drive. This monthly giveaway is something they do, it's, I don't know, 6-7 months during the year.
But, a good part of the year.
Good
I
part of the
think.
year they do
because the
this.
needs are there.
Yeah, it should start back up. I think they said in April, and the giveaway is held at the Jaffe's Warehouse there on McCarty Lane in Jackson, and you can see there the long line. There's obviously a need in the community for the food, and Carter had told us, it's a community thing. And even though Jaffe oversees that food giveaway, they have churches and groups, private individuals that are all involved in helping with the giveaway. And he did tell me that in November they gave away even more. It was 338 families that they gave to in November, and they had to sadly turn away 100 families because all the supplies were exhausted, Pete. He said it's a good program and they help a lot of people, and it's a way for them to give back during to the community. Jaffe is involved with the Jackson Apple Festival, and he said, they're out there getting donations from businesses and everything for that festival. And in his eyes, this food giveaway that they do several months throughout the year is a way that they're able to give back to the community after, asking to help with that festival. But overall, it's a good program, and Jaffe has been doing that with thanks to funding from the United Fund of Jackson County. They've been doing those giveaways since 2017. And when it started out, they kind of did it at different locations, and then finally they landed on here at the warehouse. And he said that it was real popular during the health pandemic. So that's a little bit about that. I know we talked a little bit about the schools, so I wanted to touch on this real quick. I did a little report diving into the 2022-2023 Ohio Department of Education state report card data. This data is always released in the latter part of the year. So in the latter part of 2023, the Ohio Department of Education released its Ohio State report card data. And we did a nice story explaining about the different categories. The districts are awarded up to 5 stars, and they have the following categories. There's achievement, progress, gap closing, graduation, and early literature. And there's also a 6th category that's college, career, workforce, and military readiness. There's no star rating for that 6th category, but there is for the other 5. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 for the other 5 categories, and they take those star ratings and they add those up to get like an overall star rating for the school district. And was able to go through and break those down. The Jackson City School District received an overall 3.5 star rating. That's out of 5 stars. And I'm looking here. And then the Oak Hill Union Local School District had an overall 3-star rating. The Wilson City School District had an overall 3-star rating as well. And the Vinton County Local School District also received an overall 3-star rating. And the 3-star rating, Pete, I have a breakdown of those here. Let me find what it means. A 3-star rating means the district is meeting the state standards. Now, that's a little bit about those. You can read this story. We had it in a recent edition of the Telegram if you want to read more about the school districts. The Ohio Department of Education reminded that these report cards are only a part of the story that is happening in the schools and the districts, and you can get a complete picture by visiting the schools, talking to the administrators, the teachers, kids, and get the full picture there. Wanted to touch on a couple things happening this weekend. The Jackson First Church of the Nazarene, located at 251 Powell Drive, will host its monthly free breakfast for veterans. That's Saturday, January 20th at 9 a.m. The breakfast is held in the church's gym. The breakfast is open to all military veterans, active military personnel, and their families. And once again, that breakfast is held monthly on the 3rd Saturday of each month. Also coming up this Saturday, you have the Jackson County Sportsman Federation. Will be having its annual banquet on Saturday, January 20th. Doors open at 5:30 p.m. Dinner will be served at 7 p.m. And the event will be held at Parks Edge Event Center in Jackson. Tickets are $25 each. The cost, which will include dinner and a chance to win a gun, are $100 in cash. Other chance tickets will be sold at the banquet for many other items. And this banquet is a great opportunity for area sportsmen to support Jackson County wildlife issues and youth projects. If you would like to purchase tickets to attend the banquet for January 20th, or if you need further information about the Jackson County Sportsman Federation, or they also have scholarships for 2024 and many other youth projects, you can call 740-395-7007, or they have another number, 740-395-7008. So it's a little bit about that. You have anything else you need to touch on, sir?
Got a couple
We're
things.
getting down to the
Right.
finish line here.
Right, and we'll try to hit the time-sensitive stuff here as we go down the home stretch here. Red Thompson Jr. on his last trip at the Vinton County to pick up news noticed that there's been some progress on a big construction project in Vinton County, MacArthur in particular, and that is the construction of the new Vinton County National Bank building at 203 West Main Street. And there is a picture of some structural steel that is going up, and that apparently is going to be where 4 new drive-through lanes are going to be on that new bank building. But Randy Evans Construction of Jackson is building that building. They had a groundbreaking last year. They hope to have the building open sometime in 2024. When that is going to be dependent on a number of factors. Obviously, how the weather is on construction and other details like that affect the timing of when things get done. But it is coming along, taking shape up there in MacArthur. And once again, that new building will be a modern 2-story building. Very handsome building.
It's just a very beautiful building, sir.
It is. It will replace, as the main retail center for banking operations, the older bank building that is farther downtown there, almost on the corner of Main and Market. That building will remain, in use by the bank, but it will be closed to the public and will mainly house offices.
Very
So
good.
we'll certainly continue to watch that project, as we move on. There is a meeting tonight in MacArthur that the Vinton County Cancer Research Group is doing. It's called a Community Roundtable event, and this is something that is open to the public. It's going to be held at the MacArthur Fire Station in the community room at 6:30 p.m., and this event will include guest speakers who work in the medical field as well as cancer survivors. There will be a list of community services and information about the group's gas program that will also be available. Light refreshments will be served. Everybody is invited to come out with any questions or discussions as the Vinton County Cancer Research Group tries to help the community navigate through cancer care and support. It's so wonderful that there is this support group that is there to help, and that they have a roundtable event to bring together the people who need information, need help, and the people who can give it. So that, once again, that is tonight, 6:30 p.m. at the MacArthur Fire Station's community room. This is a little bit of a timely thing, sort of just a little tribute thing that I want to mention here before we go off the air, Jeremiah. Last Saturday, Robert Bob Kite, age 74, longtime Jackson City School District employee, especially well-known in the athletic department. He passed away at the age of 74, unfortunately. He had not been in really good health, but still his death was unexpected. Bob worked for the Jackson City Schools for 42 years of his 44 years in education, and he wore many hats. He was a teacher, he was an assistant coach, he was a head coach, he was an assistant principal, and in his last years serving the school district, 10 years, I think, he was the athletic director. He handed it off to Pat Stevens here, who just retired himself about 1 year ago. But it wasn't just that he served a long time. Bob Kite was highly esteemed by everybody in the school district, whether, they were his boss, they were his coworker, or they worked under him, and also the students as well. Very highly respected. Many people have branded Bob before and after his death as a team player. You need people like that step up and they put the team above themselves and will do anything and work hard and have dedication and loyalty. That's Bob Kite for you. Bob's popularity and respect that he had, I think, was validated when, after his retirement as athletic director, he ran for a seat on the Jackson City Board of Education in 2019 and was elected, even though he was a new board member. Unfortunately, because of health issues, he wasn't able to continue to serve. And after, he realized, it was going to be hard for him to do what he thought he needed to do, he stepped down. And so Bob Kite passed away last Saturday, had private funeral services and graveside services just this past Wednesday. And so everybody who knew Bob respected and loved him. And certainly the Jackson City School District has lost one of its best soldiers.
Yeah, he will be missed.
Absolutely. We'll have a full obituary that was very well written, was in our Wednesday edition. Of course, it's posted online as well on the obituary section. We're going to have a little tribute to Bob as well that will include some very illuminating remarks and respectful remarks from Superintendent Phil Howard. And certainly Phil was in a position to know what Bob did for the school district. For all the years that I've been covering, Jackson schools, goes back into the 70s. I've had a lot of communication and cooperation and work with Bob Kite, and have the highest respect for what he did and the type of man he was.
Very good, sir. Anything else you want to touch on?
We
got a minute or so here.
Right. One other thing. This is a kind of a traffic thing that is going to affect one of the main streets in Jackson come Monday.
Yes, this coming Monday.
Right. But a section of South Street is going to be closed, and that section will be from Church Street to Broadway Street. And that will be closed between 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Because of this ongoing project, which, people all over town have noticed the last several years, and that is Columbia Gas installing new gas lines. But this will involve having to close that section of the street. Of course, a lot of people live on South Street, and that is a main commuter street there on the south end of town. But the city does ask residents and motorists, that's why they're putting this information out, so you have to drive around it. Please follow the directions and guidance provided by the contractors performing the work. The city does apologize in advance, but of course, it's all about progress and having gas lines that will serve the city and the residents for many, many years to come. Another event, Jeremiah, you noticed that you mentioned the Sportsman's Federation banquet. We do want to remind you that the Indoor Trade Fair, the pre-1890.
We had those gentlemen in on the show earlier in the week, I believe.
Right. Larry Zorns with the Sons of Liberty Muzzle-Loading Rifle Club just does so much to promote that. And what a great guy he is. He's also an ex-Marine. We had a connection with him through that as well. But the pre-1890 Indoor Trade Fair will be held out at Cantor's Cave 4-H Camp. It will be on Saturday from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. and on Sunday from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. It is a living history lesson out there.
It is.
And I guarantee you, if you go out there and check it out, in addition to the spectacle, there will be things that you can buy that you will not be able to buy anywhere else, specialized things, historical things that will be on sale there. I think there's some local vendors as well, but they draw from all over the area as far as the vendors and even from outside the state. And 100% of the gate receipts the Rifle Club gives to the Cantor's Cave 4-H Camp to support its program.
Very good, sir. Well, I appreciate you joining me on the show this morning so we could recap some news from the last week or so. Appreciate everybody tuning in this morning and watching Main Street TV. Jennifer should be back tomorrow, and believe we have guests for tomorrow to talk about. We didn't get to it in your stack, but I believe Judge Music, Mark Music, along with I believe Seth Michael, may be on the show tomorrow to talk about Amnesty Day. That's going to be held on Groundhog Day. And
Right. I tell you, a good primer for that. And this affects a lot of people, and it's good for, the public in general to know about this, the citizenry. They're going to do what they call Groundhog Day Amnesty Day. But if you have a warrant and you have, potential blocks against your driver's licenses, you have kind of like one day to get that fixed.
Yep.
And
as
so
long as
it's
it's not a felony level.
as long as it's not a felony level, and that will be, Judge Music and Seth Michael, who, as clerk of courts, is also the BMV chief. They have cooperated together to make this happen. So they will talk about that. You can hear about that firsthand tomorrow. And we did have a very in-depth article that we featured on the front page of our Wednesday paper that our editorial assistant Alex Shope wrote.
Very good. All right. So that'll do it for us. Everybody have a great day.
See you later.